All right. Five color bring to Niv. This build is a lot more trim than a lot of the builds we've played in the past. This build is foregoing a lot of like quirky one-ups, which is great, I think. So Oko, Thief of Crowns, has just infiltrated every format of Magic, and notably in our decks in Modern, where we get to play cards like Lightning Helix, Oko is great because Oko lets us Lightning Helix anything basically because he turns things into 3/3s. Wish it was snowing in Austria. It was 31 degrees Celsius today. Luckily, I've got you in air conditioning. Thanks for the 13 months, King Tower. This build's also playing 4 Teferi Time Raveler, which I'm not certain if I like 4 of this card, but it is a fine card and it does cantrip too. This build is notably playing Gilded Goose on top of Birds of Paradise, which I think is pretty reasonable. Not only do we have Oko to fuel Gilded Goose, but Gilded Goose is a mana creature that notably does not die to opposing Wrenn and Sixes, which is great. I'm a little bit hazy on if 3 Pillar of the Paruns in this list is ideal when we have like 12 things that don't cast this. 'Cause like if I look at the mana, if Moto stops like having a fit here, if I look at the mana here, I only have 15 things that cast my dorks on one. I guess I have like, and then I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 14 things that cast Astrolabe on one, so we'll see how this goes. In my experience, the mana in this deck's pretty good because Wrenn and Six rebuys fetch lands and Arcanum. Astrolabe lets you do stuff as well. So let's dive on into a Modern League and see how this one goes, shall we? That's not the one I want. Hey, thanks for the 2 months of Prime support. I appreciate it. Morning, Festy. For people that did not do it yet, I did send out a sub survey yesterday afternoon. If you didn't get the link to your email, check your spam folder. Sometimes it goes there for people with their Twitch emails. You can also check in the subs Discord and the announcement channel. Well, I was never planning to do more Brawl today, even if Brawl went well yesterday. But yeah, Brawl was real bad yesterday. After playing Brawl yesterday, I ended up not even bothering to put it on my sub-server. I don't really have an interest in playing that format again. It's just not my cup of tea. I mean, I don't think that's strictly fair, Dan. And like that's kind of gatekeeping in a way. You're telling people they can't enjoy things in the way that like you do enjoy them. Like you might not like Brawl as 1v1, but I think there's plenty of people that do. And that's okay, right? Like if you don't like it as 1v1, I didn't really like it as a 1v1 format, so like I'm not going to be playing it, but that doesn't mean I have to tell people they're playing it wrong because they like it as a 1v1 format. That's a hand. To be fair, even if any of these hands had made green mana for these, like this hand's just not keepable, right? It's like 7 mana sources. I'm on the play with this. I think I have to mulligan again. This hand's actually quite good. I think I'm going to keep it and probably throw back Bring to Light Niv. Do I want to throw back a land? I might just want to throw back a land. If I keep a Bring to Light and do this, because this is going to pick back up my Prismatic Vista, right? Yeah, let's do that. So we'll go Breeding Pool tapped, and then Prismatic Vista for Mountain, pick back Prismatic Vista back up, grab a Plains, play Teferi Time Raveler. Yeah, I saw the thing going around about someone winning with just Oko and then like a couple of mana dorks. Seems silly. You wanted to run today and now it's raining. Do you have a gym membership? You can run inside. Alternatively, you could also just be happy it's not snowing wherever you're at, because it's definitely currently snowing where I am. This deck ever beat Dredge? I have two Ashioks on the sideboard, and I have a Wheel of Sun and Moon. Wheel of Sun and Moon seems mighty slow. I'd be pretty surprised if we have a chance in this matchup. And this is the type of experience in Modern, like, you know, we're gonna try and stay upbeat and not complain about things, but I am gonna point out still that, like, this is one of the features of Modern that I'm really glad doesn't exist in Pioneer, where, like, there's just these incredibly polarized, skewed matchups, and maybe we will get some of those as Pioneer matures, but so far the experience has not been that. Thanks for the 7 months, Fox. I haven't felt like, I guess Bogles versus my Fair deck felt pretty hopeless turn 1 or 2, but, like, on average, I feel like there's far fewer hopeless matchups on turn 1 to 2 in Pioneer so far. It's snowing the Chicago suburbs too. I just moved yesterday and the new unit doesn't have a garage. Brutal. Thanks for the 8 months there, Pepperidge Farm. Yeah, Christy and I have a 3-car garage, which when you have children, that means it's a 2-car plus crap garage, and so thankfully both our cars fit in there. There were a lot of things about Modern I took for granted as this is what Magic is before Pioneer dropped. Yeah, I think it was the format was like pretty eye-opening in a lot of ways. Like, a lot of things where your opponent would Blood Moon you out of the game, or you'd get, like, Ensnaring Bridge, or Chalice of the Voided, or Tron, and you'd be like, well, that's just how it is, right? You just have to take your lumps and get the good with the bad. And now, like, there's this non-rotating format where I don't have to experience that, and it's like, oh, okay. And honestly, pulled up the sub-survey, but I wanted to gauge your opinion on something. My mates and I were wondering if for arena content you continue doing sub-battles, you can make your own ban list and still allows you to have some arena content. I don't know. So, like, the problem with that is, one, in my experience doing viewer battles, you tend to always leave some amount of people upset that they didn't get to play, especially when you're someone of my size. There's always going to be a list of people, and some people are going to get left out. And two is that content like that, where you're banning something locally, tends to be less popular because people tend to watch Magic content to be able to emulate that Magic content themselves at home. So, like, if we're imposing our own local ban list, the content then becomes less relevant to other real people because it's no longer content that they can meaningfully emulate themselves. Yeah, that's definitely true, Abigish. That's what my experience too. For her next house, definitely wanted 2-car plus crap garage. Yep. Yeah, before we moved in January, Christy and I had a 2-car garage, which meant only 1 car ever fit in there because it was 1 car plus crap. Yeah, we mulliganed to 5. But, like, do we have 7-card hands that make us not just dead here? Like, full disclosure. Like, do you think this matchup is winnable, Hyder? This is your submission. Like, I guess we can hit Ashiok on the right turns post-board games, but, like, I don't know. Like, think if this was a post-board game and I had Ashiok next turn, like, my opponent has 4 power in play, I nuke their graveyard, but they, like, kill my Ashiok immediately and I'm at 10. Gosh, that gives the blood gas taste here, too. Brutal. Because they hit the double creeping gel, so they cast 3 free Lightning Helixes here. This is game 1. Yeah, we're just gonna get killed by a Conflagrate next turn. I think Modern is still a place for main deck graveyard hate is correct. Nah. Maybe it'll get to that point, but I don't think it's currently at that point. One of the things that I think is a very realistic possibility is I think people have been like, a lot of people have like, you know, speculating like what does Modern look like? What's going to happen to the format like with the induction of Pioneer? And while I don't think Modern's dead or going anywhere, I think there's a very real possibility that Modern as a whole is going to become a lot more hostile of a format, because I think there's a good chance that a lot of the more casual players who like are playing their own brews are probably going to eventually trickle out of Modern, where their brews get brutalized a little bit more regularly. Like playing a random collection of cards that you just like or have sentimental attachment to, on average, is going to be more powerful in a lower powered format. And Pioneer, while we don't know a lot about it, it's definitely lower powered than Modern. Yeah, I agree that this card is significantly worse than Rest in Peace. I think the fact that you can get it with this and cast it with this probably means it's still better off as Rip. Wanted to ask if it's messed up. I genuinely want to play Oko because I think it's sweet regardless. I think and that's honestly, Hibbs, I think Oko is a really sweet card too. Playing with powerful cards is fun. And I think the biggest issues with this card in Standard are definitely the surrounding tools. I think they could definitely sculpt a format where, like, you don't have 1 mana Cryptic Command, you don't have, Once Upon a Time, you don't have Nissa or things like that like, don't make Oko overbearing. Thanks, Guano. Yeah, the card viewer is something I wish I'd set up sooner, but, can't go backwards in time, so it's here now. Let's delete Overgrown Tomb into Birds of Paradise on 1, into Ashiok on 2. So maybe turn 2 Ashiok on the play is good enough to steal a game here. I have seen some people playing Blue-Red Prowess. I wonder if in Blue-Red Prowess is Treasure Cruise actually better than Bedlam Reveler? I'm not convinced that they are. SCG shying away from Standard towards Pioneer due to the card selection, making Standard less appealing. Obviously, SCG wants older formats to exist. Does Pioneer swallow up a large portion of the Modern market share? I see players going from casual to serious, making the switch to Pioneer, not Modern. So, I think your players who are currently really heavily invested in Modern are not going anywhere. But I do expect newer players who are looking to make that jump to start making that jump into Pioneer as opposed to start making the jump in Modern. So while I don't think Modern's going to be just dead, I do think that Modern's growth at this point is kind of peaked, if that makes sense. So I would expect Modern to not, like, Modern's been one of the most popular competitive Magic formats in Magic's history. Keyword there, competitive. Obviously, things like EDH and casual formats are bigger than Modern, but from a competitive perspective, Modern's the most success Magic's ever had. So now that I drew that, do I just Wrenn and pick up the land, or do I double dork? I think I'm just going to Wrenn and pick up the land, because I probably want to Ashiok next turn anyways. I mean, what does turn 3 Bring to Light do for me? It doesn't actually accomplish anything, right? I wanted to get into Moto because Pioneer would be cheaper than Modern, still managed to spend 700 on my deck. Yeah, Magic Finance is something. And Pioneer is definitely a case where, like, there were some people that bought out staples, and then there's just, like, a high natural demand. Niv probably gives you a clock they can't race. I don't know if that's true. I guess I have Wrenn and Six to kill. It depends on how they sideboarded. Like, if they've got a bunch of Creeping Chills in their deck, so I think hoping I can't race them is ambitious. I just played my first arena game this week. I joined a traditional standard queue, and the first match I got was a Soul type player that played turn 3 Nissa and turn 4 Oko. Fun game. Yep, there's a reason why we're doing a little bit less standard. The results of the sub poll, unsurprisingly, showed a strong desire for some amount of standard content still moving forward. So I'm thinking, unless, like, another 400 people respond to the sub poll in the next day and skew the results entirely, I think we're going to go back to doing 2 days of standard next week. Well, almost. I know I didn't give people a 0 option because 0 wasn't an option. I've got some standard decks in the queue that I need to play through. But to gauge what I mean when I said there was some desire for some amount of standard content, almost half the people who responded to the poll wanted 2 or more days of standard. And even though Arena's like kind of medium at the moment, I definitely don't want to go cold turkey on standard. Just because you don't want to like have all the people that are here for just Arena content to like disappear for a couple of weeks. Yeah, the poll was emailed out last night. You can find it linked in the subscriber Discord as well. Pioneer was the most voted for format. Pioneer, last I checked, had 80% of the respondents say they were interested in Pioneer content on the channel. And then over half the people who responded said Pioneer was currently their favorite thing and favorite content on the channel. I appreciate the viewership, focused, and professional approach you take to your content. Thanks, Socio Penguin. I appreciate you keeping me around so I can keep having that approach. So we want to Wrenn and Six this Blood Guest here before we Ashiok them, obviously. How did Mythgard fare? Mythgard was actually more popular than I was expecting, but not quite enough to justify a third day. So I had, last I checked, it was like 34% of subs said they were enjoying some amount of Mythgard content. And I think it was like 8% of people that responded said it was their favorite thing currently on the channel. Probably through the end of the week. I don't ever formally close them, but I usually stop checking them after a few days. Wrenn and Six is illegal at Pioneer. This is a little bit of modern. Okay, well, Planeswalkers are good. Ashiok's good. On the draw, probably dead. Hopefully they mulligan a lot. I think I'm happy with how I boarded. Yeah, games in general are card games in general are hard to follow if you don't know the cards that are going on. What part of Discord do I find the poll? It's in the announcements channel. I think you have to scroll up like 2 or 3 posts now. It's right above. I posted a tentative schedule for next week based on the early poll results. It's right above that. This was my most responded to ever Hoaglandia poll, believe it or not. You have almost 900 responses as of this morning. My previous most responded to was like just under 800 responses, which is great. Which, for context, as of right now at this very moment, I have 3,225 unique subscribers. That's like a third of them have responded, which is not bad. Why Goose over Birds? Why not both? The new full art basics look great. I agree. So we have turn 1 Goose, turn 2 Ashiok. This is what we need to have a chance here. Yeah, I sent out an emergency update poll yesterday, Juju. Because I wanted to gauge what people were interested in. Okay, so they just did this on 1. Do I just play Astrolabe now? I think I'm just going to play Astrolabe now because this on 1, nah. This could just be, they could still have, if they go like land, Cathartic Reunion, I'm going to want to turn to Ashiok. So I think I'm supposed to just Goose here. Hey, thanks for the 7 months, Psychonaut. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, let's just make them commit to the Conflagrate. Yeah, against Burn, Gilded Goose is significantly better than Birds of Paradise, because they kill your turn 1 Accelerant to create a gain 3 for you. Yeah, Goose enabling Mox Opal, because that card's still legal. Sweet. There's that Cathartic Reunion we talked about. Here's hoping they don't put a bunch of prize amalgams into play. Alright, they hit a prize amalgam, no Narcomoeba, please. If they don't hit an Narcomoeba here... Alright, they didn't hit a Narcomoeba. So, we have a real shot here. Pengu Power with the 43 months of support. That's such a long time. And Tap Lines, thanks for sticking on with the tier 1. Welcome back. How does Burn ever beat Oko? Get very lucky. Hope your opponent misses their land drops. So Ashiok here mills a player for 4 and then exiles my opponent's graveyard. And I'm definitely going to mill them because, like, getting their deck empty is great. Hey, thanks to 11 months, Tap Lands. It has been a quick year indeed. Switching to a paid subscription triggered the message. That's weird. You tried many counter deck shit. You mean like decks full of counter spells? In which format would be the other question, Eminem. I've mostly been playing tap-out style control decks that, like, play to the board. In the true Magic Online experience, I've used 4 minutes and 14 seconds off my clock, and my opponent has used 11 minutes and 20 seconds off of their clock. It's like casual 2.5 times as much as us. Wow. Just concedes to the Ashiok. Sure. Yay! Modern! Yay! Interesting and engaging. Man, our mana has not been very kind to us so far. Man, brutal. Yeah, I guess. At least we're winning die rolls, I guess. Anytime someone stops Dredge is a good time in my book. Get out of here. Get out of here with your brokenness. Opponent went to 6 at least, so they're only up 3 cards on us. I missed Modern right after Jason BB got unbanned. Yeah. Yeah. Anarch Fire, thanks for the 10 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright. On to the post-board games here. Remember when I said Modern was likely going to become more brutal as the more casual players push their way in towards Pioneer? Pepperidge Farm remembers. I miss Splinter Twin. Am I a bad person? No, not at all. In fact, I think when they banned Splinter Twin, when they banned Birthing Pod and then subsequently Splinter Twin is when Modern started, like, really kind of nosediving. And, like, there were other things that, like, got printed in that time period that, like, impacted it as well. Like, Modern Horizons didn't do this format any favors. Can we get an owl hat or a GF mask for a game? I don't know where those things are. Did we not win game 3 versus Dredge? No, we did. We won the match. They conceded to turn 2 Ashiok. And then we queued into a second Dredge opponent, and we mulliganed to 4, and then I conceded when we saw they were on Dredge, so we could go to the post-board games. They only saw bird breeding pool, so. Because Modern. I'm gonna keep this. Guile's not, like, that amazing of a hate piece, but it's fine, I think. Hakak was great. It was something. To set an incredibly low bar I think I enjoyed Modern when Hagak was legal more than I enjoy it now, because the Hagak deck was super attackable. These new artifact combo decks that are like playing Oko and have like 6 different ways to kill you, you just like, none of your hate is good against them. You can't just like put a leyline into play and make them not play Magic. I think a lot of people were upset with Splinter Twin for a lot of the same reasons that people were upset with Field of the Dead, and that Field of the Dead was just the best deck at the time, and so that was what they were blaming for the reason why their brews weren't competitive. That is a gorgeous fetch land. Cathartic Reunion here. Discard 2 Dredge. Need them to miss on Narcomoeba here. Just a Creeping Chill. Deal. Wow, did they not hit a Dredger? They didn't hit a Dredger. That's so good for us. Morning, Jeff. I like the card viewer in the corner. Yeah, it was a great addition. Should have done it sooner. All right, let's just start killing them. I'm going to pass here with Kaya's Guile up. Kaya's Guile notably has an Exile Graveyard as one of its modes. So, like, if they play another Cathartic Reunion here, for example, we can exile their graveyard in response to any triggers they have. It looks like another reunion here. Sweet. So go ahead and dredge. So in response to these triggers, I'm going to go ahead and exile all cards to the opponent's graveyard and probably gain 4 life. Exile all cards to opponent's graveyard, you gain 4. I think that's better than making a 1/1 here. That is simply window capturing the built-in Magic Online preview window, and then a little bit of OBS magic to trim it down. Thanks, Jacobian. Yeah, the feedback on the preview panel's been good. I had to make myself a little bit tiny to fit it in, but that's fine. I'm not important. Card images are a lot more important than I am. The chat had to get a little bit smaller as well, but I think that's also probably okay. What's OBS? OBS stands for Open Broadcast Software. It is essentially the industry standard for streaming to Twitch in terms of streaming software. And for some reason, it's completely free. Most good software is completely free. Open source software, best software. Not even just free in cost, it's free as in freedom. And I'm American, so I love freedom, chat. And see, like, this is the Dredge experience. Like, I have my turn 2 hate card here, but it's just not going to be good enough, right? So, like, I can play Ashiok and, like, exile their graveyard, but they've got 5 power in play, and then they just attack my Ashiok down. And if I don't play Ashiok and exile their graveyard, they get to keep dredging and, like, building the board more. Yeah, turn two graveyard hate is too slow in this format frequently. I guess at this point I am just like putting accelerants into play. I'm like hoping to get set up for something to do next turn. The change makes it hard to read the chat in YouTube videos when people are having conversations. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know that I'm worried about it on a YouTube video. On a YouTube video, you can pause it and scroll back if you're trying to read a conversation. So, like, in order to, like, put chat back to the size it was before, it actually is the size it was before. I have to, like, put my advert over the actual stream. And I don't know that I want to do that. I think I'd rather have the advert off to the side here, covering part of the chat. I think that's probably for the best. I think the card preview is probably a lot more important than the chat in general. Sorry, chat. So if they hadn't just conflagrated a bunch of my dorks. There are definitely people who appreciate the chat in the YouTube videos. I always get a comment on when I have it off. So Ashiok here and then hope to peel a land. Yeah, I guess I'm like just playing. Well, like I can't keep Ashiok alive, right? Like they have like 5 power in play. Yeah, of course you can still type in your opponent's timer. Of course you can still type in your opponent's timer. And we need to stabilize. Like, you understand that that's a silly statement, right? That's always the thing. That's always what you're looking to do. I think what I want to do is bird plus land here, and then I just hope that they miss next turn, and I can trophy this amalgam and then untap an Ashiok and clear it out. Like if they have an exceptionally bad dredge here. Their dredge was so good that my my VM crashed. So give me a moment. These people are great. Buy their stuff. It's a strong dredge. They dredged our moto, yep. Un moment. What Pioneer deck am I playing this weekend? Blue-Green Eldrazi. Yeah, a recent Moto update. I had been running Moto via Wine like I do Arena for a while. And, one of the recent Moto updates, when they added drag to cast, it made a Moto unplayable via Wine for me. It just, like, lags incessantly with every game action, which is unplayable. Yeah, we're super dead. They dredged another amalgam, and they have a Bloodghast to bring it back. So again, just like turn two Ashiok, not good enough. Welcome to Modern, enjoy your stay. Those are the types of games that you just have to experience in Modern to get through to some of the ones that don't kind of suck. 2 matches in, 2 dredge opponents. Got lucky to win one. Turn 2 hate too slow to win the second. Just how it goes. Morning eggs are good. Tried to stream Moto for a friend on a virtual machine, but it did not look very good. Yeah, I've got a high-end computer. My computer is overkill for playing Magic Online, so like my 12-core processor handles Moto in a VM just fine. What are your thoughts about SCG changing their next? They didn't change an open. They changed an invitational, which is a bigger deal. And I think it's incredibly smart, and SCG is on the ball to be doing it. Just like NRG is on the ball to be swapping to Pioneer this weekend. Mishra's Bubble could be an artifact deck, could be a Death Shadow deck. Yep, yeah, NRG is in Madison this weekend. And knock on wood, the snow's supposed to be done after today. So here's hoping. I'd be wearing a costume. I am not. How bad does Solve Pioneer have to be bumped back for Standard? I have no idea. I also don't think Pioneer is going to be solved anytime soon. They said they're going to be aggressively managing the format, so I would be surprised if that format gets solved anytime in the near future. I don't really need double red, right? I guess I could want to cast both of these in the same turn. It doesn't really matter. I already have double green, so. There's like 4 inches of snow in Madison right now. Yeah, but they're professionals. So like 4 inches of snow in Madison right now, like if it stops snowing today is like not a big deal. 4 inches of snow is like only a big deal when like you don't have the equipment to clear it. So like when Atlanta gets 4 inches of snow, the entire city shuts down. When the Midwest gets 4 inches of snow, unless you're in Indiana, usually they're well equipped to handle it. So what you're saying is that offering a format that people want to play is smart. Who knew, right? Weird. Yeah, or Seattle, right? Yeah, but like if you're living in a place that like doesn't have equipment to handle that, like even half an inch of snow is incredibly dangerous if you don't have things like salt or sand trucks and like plows to clear them and stuff like that. Like whenever I always think it's really awful when people who live in the Midwest are like haha and make fun of people in the South, because like they just super take for granted the fact that like they're benefiting from the infrastructure that's surrounding the Midwest. Like they don't have some inherent better driving skills than people who live in the South. They're just like, their roads are actually treated. As someone who's driven all around the Midwest in blizzards, like in blizzard conditions, have driven in almost every state in the Midwest, Indiana is the worst state to drive in while it's snowing. Not close. Most of Indiana. No, I'm not just talking about Indy. In a blizzard, I have driven from the Ohio half of Indiana to Illinois, like straight down the middle of the state on the expressway, and it is night and day when you leave Ohio and enter Illinois. Like the Indiana part of that stretch of drive is miserable, awful. And like you get into Illinois and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's a snowplow. I thought those went extinct. And like, don't get me wrong. Like driving in parts of snow anywhere like isn't great, but like it's night and day different Indiana versus Ohio and Illinois. Love your content. Sad that I'm prepping for the MC and my friends are trying to convince me to play 4 Aethergust, 4 Noxious Grasp, and Sultai. What a format. Good luck, Godspeed. Win your mirror matches. My normal advice to people playing in their first high-level tournaments is like, play something aggressive and hope to get a little bit lucky, but like, that doesn't apply to this standard format. The aggro decks are all unplayable. Where the kids are going for his Halloween. Yeah, Jake has a pirate costume that he's super excited to wear, and Declan has a Bumblebee costume. The Bumblebee the Transformer. So a lot of Magic, but still hang out and watch you. Well, thanks for sticking around, returning, Dawn. Thanks for returning. I appreciate the third of a year. Welcome back. Sure. I have 2 removal spells for that. Not too big of a deal. Yikes. Yikes. Had to open my mouth, huh? I need an elk suit. Listen, chat. If you're good at something, never do it for free. I don't dress up of my own accord. Actually, I probably want a trophy first because I'd rather trophy get countered than Dreadbore, right? Because trophy gives them a land. Double Stubborn Denial. Brutal. This is a card I've considered playing in the Eldrazi deck I'm playing later today. That's a bad beat. Look at the Tron list you're playing. Do you think it's a mistake to not play Once Spine? Does it not have once in it? If I'm being honest, I just copy and pasted a deck from a recent top 8. Wow, it's playing 0 once. Yeah, that's probably a mistake. Unfortunately, this is Magic Online, so I can't correct that mistake before we play. So we're just gonna play what we have. My preferred Tron list has 4 Once Upon a Time in it. The person that requested this Tron deck requested Karn the Great Creator, so I just grabbed a recent top 8 list with 4 Karn the Great Creator in it, because I don't think that card's very good, and I haven't put effort into how it should be built. So, my preferred Tron list would have 4 Once Upon a Time in it. We are not playing my preferred Tron list. We're playing a viewer requested list today. And we draw a trophy. Okay, I mean, like, that's like trophy adjacent, right? It's like pretty good. Yeah, of course, Blue-Green Eldrazi has Once Upon a Time. Card's cracked in half. It is. So, I'm honestly not sure what's more offensive. The fact that Once Upon a Time exists as a Magic card, or the fact that people keep playing green decks without 4 copies of it. Like, I keep seeing people post standard decks with like 1, 2, and 3 copies of Once Upon a Time, and I'm just like, it's unreal how good green is in standard right now, that people cannot play the best card in the color and like still be doing well. Is disgusting. Oh god, they have removal spell plus Gurmag Angler. Gross. Alright, well, a Dismember? Sure. Now that looks like an elk to me, so everybody, just come and see. It's a +1, not a -3. Yeah, I think I saw your emailing first. So I usually don't respond to emails pre-stream. Like before I'm going live for a stream, I am like getting my oldest ready to go to school. So a lot of my paperwork, work style stuff is handled post-stream. So we lost all of our mana creatures, but I've got Oko and Teferi here, so like, let's go. Na 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 na. Deer. That's pretty good for us. So I think I want Kaya's Guile here. Definitely want Dreadbore. Definitely want Supreme Verdict. If your green deck doesn't have any creature today, would it be incorrect to play 4 copies of Once Upon a Time? I'd say your green deck's probably not good if it doesn't have a lot of creatures in it. I would challenge you to show me a good green deck that doesn't have a lot of creatures in it. Is it just Wrenn and Six? I feel like it's just Wrenn and Six. Maybe like some amount of Helix. People, I like how I ask for good decks and people are immediately like Teamer Reclamation and Bring to Lightscape Shift. No, I explicitly said the word good. In case I stuttered. Sometimes I stutter. So your suggestions are invalid because they are not good. No, Tron should be playing 4 Once Upon a Time, he says, before he gets ready to play a viewer-submitted deck without Once Upon a Time. Yep, you're not wrong, Reaper. Oko is real good against Death Shadow. Sure, bad decks win sometimes too, right? Like, what's his name? Mogwai day 2'd the last MCQ with like Grixis Fires, right? Doesn't mean that deck is good. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you are enjoying playing a mediocre deck, like, more power to you. The joy of Magic is like playing decks that you have fun with. But like, Scred wins Grand Prix. Good decks do poorly because of variance. Bad decks also do well because of variance. There isn't an objective way to measure the power level of decks, so all that I can tell you is, with my incredible amount of experience playing Magic the Gathering, in my opinion, those decks are not good. And if you disagree with me, you're welcome to disagree with me, and I can't show you an objective reason why you should agree with me other than an appeal to authority. An appeal to authority suck in general, but we don't have anything better in Magic. That's just how it works. Misery Island 1, thanks for the brand new Prime support. Welcome to Hooglandia. I appreciate you shipping your Bezo bucks this way this month. Our mana is super awkward this game. If I configured it correctly, I believe 50k shilling should take somewhere around a month of watching. Was my intended goal in the pricing of things. I'm not sure there's more misunderstood fallacy than the appeal to authority. Yeah. You're at 41.2k right now without spending any. Neat, good to know. How when did shilling start? Do you remember, Caker? When shilling started? Anybody remember? What was the first day we had them? 2 weeks ago? Was it 2 weeks? Okay. You should have had a bonus for starting, so we'll see how that goes. It'll take a lot more than a month because highlighting things is too fun. Yeah. Yeah, those. $37k. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once people start hitting the 50k line. I might actually have to adjust how many points things cost because I don't want to inflate the queue too much. So I set a baseline and we'll see. They might get adjusted from there. So it's not missing a stream and having it go the entire time. That's a good metric. You get extra shillings if you show up multiple streams in a row. So the streak bonus is valuable. You're actively clicking on chest. That's a good metric too. You get extra for clicking on the chest. I didn't attack with the food here because I don't want them to be like Snapcaster Mage, attack Yoroko. But I guess they have a Fatal Push in their bin. I also don't really want to like do a bunch of damage to them for free so they can play their Death Shadows out. If you want to keep killing my streak bonus, keep playing Brawl. Brawl is not going to be on this channel again in the foreseeable future. In fact, unless the sub-survey has a huge burst of answers that subsequently change the proportions, I'm tentatively going to be doing Pioneer 5 days a week next week and the week after. Sick Elks, bro. Land. Want to draw a land or an Astrolabe here? How is Mythgard received? Mythgard was higher than I was expecting, but not high enough to justify a third day, I don't think. I think 2 days is probably just about right. It is snowing a little bit this morning. It was supposed to start snowing last night, and it didn't start until like about an hour ago. So it didn't get quite as much as they were predicting. If it wasn't for Pioneer, I would generally wonder what the state of Magic would be right now. Elks. This is the state of Magic. Even with Pioneer, I'm pretty sure this is the state of Magic. How long do we have to fill out the questionnaire? Through the end of the week. I'll stop checking it at the end of the week. This is already the most responded to Hooglandia sub poll ever, which gives me hope for 2020. Because when things suck, it drives people to get out and vote. So hopefully people get out and vote in 2020. Yeah, I currently have 888 responses on the dot, and my previous most responded to sub survey had where is it? The September survey had 717 responses. So higher than that by a good margin. Yeah, the surveys went out through email. 60% of the reason I subbed was so I could vote. Yeah, I think that was part of the reason I was plugging it too. I was hoping a few people would sub so they could explicitly fill out the survey. I understand how this works. If you didn't get the survey via email, you want to pop into the subs Discord, you'll be able to find a link there. Just for the record, Big Daddy, statements like they all suck or it's all the same are generally not welcome here in terms of politics. Those are statements that are based profoundly inside of ignorance or personal privilege. Like, if you think all of the options are the same, you probably come from a place where you're insulated from the decisions that these people could be making. You're someone whose life is not made meaningfully worse by choices that get made by these people. which that's definitely not true for a large part of the population. There are a lot of people that don't have that bonus. How many days of standard? I'm leaning towards 2 days of standard right now. Unless something meaningfully changes in the sub-survey, about 2 days of standard looks to be correct. I think I'm actually going to elk this Astrolabe. I have most of my colors here. It's like, they're going to get to blow this up. 2 full days? No, 2 half days. So like two half Pioneer, half Standard days. Yep, Bon, you're not wrong. I think too many people feel disenfranchised about one particular issue and then project that onto parties as a whole instead of basing the decisions on, yeah, I agree. And single issue voters are like one of the things that like prop up the GOP as a whole very heavily. Yeah, there were a few people that were like, I would have voted for 0 days of standard, but zero days of standard was an option. We were always going to be doing some amount. And for reference, I'll actually pull up the sub-survey after we're done with this one and talk about it. I'll probably do that a couple times today to encourage people to go do it if they want their voice heard. But, man, this Oko card's really good against the Shadow, huh? I would like this friend, please. I would like a Teferi rather than a Supreme Verdict here. Wow, only drew 2 cards. Unlucky. Unlucky. Hashtag never lucky. Oh yeah, sub-survey. Sub-survey results. Metrics we actually care about. Please check all content you sub to support. So there's still 75% of people said they're subbing to support some standard content. So that meaningfully means getting some standard content back in makes sense. Pioneer. This is the first time since I started doing sub-surveys a little over a year ago that something was more supported than standard. So standard's always been in like the 90% range. This is the first time standard's been this low. So Pioneer was the most voted if we're supported at 83.5%. We had Modern at a little over half and Mythgard at about a third. And then I compare that with this though. So like this is an interesting comparison. So I asked people to check everything they sub to support, but then I also asked them what's their favorite. So even though 55% said they're subscribed for some amount of modern content, only 5.5%, 5.6% said that modern is currently their favorite thing on the channel. So that's an interesting comparison. So people want some modern, but a ton of modern doesn't make sense really based on like what people are saying their favorite is essentially. And then Pioneer here is overwhelmingly people's favorite. And then yeah, actually, even though Mythgard had 33% of people interested in it, it actually had more people mark it as their favorite than modern. And actually, one thing that was interesting, and this was in previous sub-surveys, the anything it's all great had been 20+% in all of my previous surveys, and this time it was down to 12%. And I think a big part of that was because people don't want to see standard right now, or some number don't want. Yeah, and that's why those charts, actually, just to look at those one more time, I'll wait for this match to pop. This is why it's important to have context to data, because like, for example, I could very easily cherry pick this data and be like, modern super popular, or I could cherry pick this data and be like, nobody likes modern, why am I playing it? Right? So that's why it's important to collect metrics as a whole and like look at the data and ask different questions phrased in different ways and collect different parts of it. Because, you know, if you look at just this compared to just this, you get two very different conclusions, right? So like looking at them together and drawing a more reasonable conclusion in the middle makes a lot of sense. I'd apologize for worrying about my diabetic wife being thrown off her very acceptable private health insurance that enables us to afford her insulin and related supplies in exchange for publicly run healthcare that would cost ludicrous amounts of money that the government doesn't have, which is what Medicare for All for do. I'd be lying, but I guess that makes me a single-issued voter. All right, so I don't allow FUD in my chat. So I'm very sympathetic for your wife, but the idea that your wife would be worse off under Medicare for All and you wouldn't be able to afford her medical supplies is wrong. It's incorrect. What Medicare for All would do is it would, and I would think you would be empathetic, but apparently you lack empathy. You're incapable of empathy. You must be. What Medicare for All would do is it would enable everyone, and your wife is included in everyone, I promise. It would include everyone to be able to afford their insulin. So what you're doing is buying into the millions of dollars that the health insurance industry, which is a for-profit industry that profits off of people like your wife being sick, are selling you that you need them because their for-profit industry that's profiting off of your wife being sick is the only one that can make her healthy, when every other developed country in the world has affordable medicine for their people. And one of the most profitable, wealthy countries in the world can afford to provide insulin so people aren't literally dying because they're rationing their insulin. So in the least nice way possible, fuck you for being uninformed. People like you are the reason that other people are dying, literally dying. And I would think that because you have a family member who's in that bad situation, you would maybe be empathetic towards other people. But, you know, a lot of people just lack basic empathy, which is one of the biggest problems in the society in which we live. So yeah, you're a single issue voter. You're an uninformed single issue voter, or as I like to refer to it, the GOP base. When you defend the current health insurance system in the United States, what you are defending is CEOs' rights or their privilege to collect million-dollar salaries. This idea that the government that doesn't need to profit off of healthcare can't do it is nonsense. Yeah, I have the benefit of having really good healthcare, and no one in my immediate family, knock on wood, has any medical problems, long-term or otherwise. But that could change in the future, and my kids might not be able to have great health insurance like I do someday, 30 years from now. So I'm hoping that at some point between now and then, we're gonna get our crap together in a backpack and make it so that my children, if they develop something like that, don't have to worry about dying from it because they can't afford it. There was not an option on the sub-survey for political rants. Maybe there should have been. It's probably not a bad idea in the future. Do I want to hold up Lightning Helix on 2 against Castle Garenberg? I feel like they have probably an Amulet Titan deck, and they could play Sakura Tribe Scout on 2, so I'm going to hold up Lightning Helix here. My dad's diabetic and he orders insulin from Canada because it's cheaper than what he gets with insurance. Yeah. And that's another issue with the current yikes. Are we dead? Super dead. Feeling dead. I guess we're elking amulets here and then like hoping to survive the 3/3 beatdown. So like we're not getting Titan next turn, so we get to elk an amulet here, which is great. Do you think Yang or Bernie would be better for the upcoming election? I think Yang has brought a lot of important topics to the forefront of the policy discussions, but I've not been pleased with some of Yang's responses on certain issues, like the Tulsi situation. I also, Yang's idea of a VAT tax being the correct answer as opposed to a wealth tax is inherently regressive. VAT taxes are largely paid for by the working class people. That's true. If they have land Azusa, we could get got, right? Maybe. Third amulet. I have no idea, Wilders. And part of that too, like Magic formats like ebb and change and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why I send the survey out quarterly. Can I post in the Discord my insurance payments versus my costs if you want to show and shock chat with me? Yeah, definitely hurt. Go for it. The TV has to get a flu shot and their shelves of diabetic testing strips. A pack of 6 was $100. Yeah. All right, so we're dead. I'm going to concede. Died on turn 3. If I lived in the US, I'd immediately move to Canada. I mean, like, not everything is bad here. Ugh. A conservative just won a plurality of votes for prime minister. Is that true, Burgle? I don't understand fully how the Canadian system works. I thought the Liberal Party won a majority of the votes in whatever it was. Was I misunderstanding that? Oh, they won the popular vote. Okay. They have some kind of electoral college type nonsense up there too then? The Conservatives had more votes, but the Liberals got more seats. Sounds like the Liberals gerrymander better. Oh, gerrymandering. You are an issue everywhere. There's no gerrymandering in Canada. Really? How does that work then? Are provinces not awarded parliamentary seats based on their size then? Well, I mean, Eldortharin, like, wait times for healthcare are something that exists everywhere. Like, even in the United States, where we have great private insurance, people with great private insurance are frequently waiting to see people who are experts. Like, the amount of people to the amount of people that are being trained in the medical field is small. All right, this is a keep, right? We could play Goose on 1, and then we go Wrenn and 6, pick the land back up, play Astrolabe. Speaking of medical stuff in the United States, I had to pick up a prescription for Christy yesterday, and the drive-through line at 5 o'clock at Walgreens for drive-through prescriptions, you'd have thought I was waiting at McDonald's. The line was like wrapped around the building for people waiting to pick up prescriptions. So am I playing Astrolabe out here? Oh, should I kill this? I did see Twitter was banning all political ads from their platform, which is great. Makes me feel slightly less bad that that's one of the few social platforms I use. Hey, Dan, thanks for the 12 months. I appreciate it. Thanks for the Prime, or the Tier 1 sub. Yeah, I mean, like, the wait time things that people say about Canada, like, that's definitely, there's some FUD there. But, like, there's wait times in the United States, too, right? Like, if you show up to the ER with something that's not immediately life-threatening in the United States, even if you have good insurance, you're going to wait behind the people that are literally dying. That's just how it works. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me they've gotten Trump ads at the start of my YouTube videos. I unfortunately have no control over what ads are displayed on my channel. Is the 6 or 5 color good stuff? Yeah, that's basically what the deck we're playing is. It's like, it's got a small toolbox package with Bring to Light, but even this build's not really toolboxing. Like, it's mostly just trim 4-ofs. I actually really like this build of this deck. Like, mostly trim 4-ofs is a great direction to take it in. Like, before, because these decks had Bring to Light in it, they were playing a bunch of, like, really cute 1-ofs in the main deck, and I like that this build is just like, no, we're just like Bring to Lightning for Niv most of the time, and all good cards otherwise. Yep, yeah, I agree. Oh, that's a good draw. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this Tribe Scout and then Knight of Autumn the Amulet here. And then we're missing on a land drop, but I think we're in a pretty okay spot otherwise. I think it's important to take this off the table, though. I'm giving up a land drop this turn, but I think it's a worthwhile land drop to give up. I actually don't think the pillars are very good in this deck, so I think cutting them's not that big of a deal. Twitter is banning political advertisements of all sorts. So in general, Twitter is disallowing political ads, which is awesome. It's messed up because you're the only channel that received Trump ads on YouTube from the channels that I watch. Huh. I wonder if Twitch or I wonder if YouTube allows targeted advertising. Because, like, YouTube is definitely listening to everything that I create, right? Because they strip out music and stuff. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they allow people putting ads up to target people with liberal points in their videos. Go ahead and Helix this or make a food with that one and get a plains with this. Is a Twitter ban a big deal in the US? Well, Twitter's much smaller than Facebook, obviously, but any positive momentum in removing dishonesty from advertising is a big deal. Oh, that's true too. That's true too. The right has a history of targeting young men through gaming platforms, and my audience is predominantly male and ages 25 through 34. We've not played 5-color Niv and Pioneer yet. That's true. We do talk about our big orange dictator a non-zero amount. What am I doing here? I don't think I'm supposed to... don't think I'm supposed to Oko this turn. I think I want to start with this. He didn't lose half his Twitter followers, but he lost a big chunk of them, yeah. Am I supposed to kill Azusa? Are we killing Azusa or are we just holding up trophy? Thanks, I hurt. I don't know that I'm going to pull that up now, but it'll be useful, an interesting point to talk about at some point in the future. I think I don't care about Azusa at this point. Yeah, right? Like, they're already at 6 lands. Yeah, I agree. We're just supposed to, like, hold the door. So, you want to let them get their lands before you trophy, because you want them to make the decision about what lands they're getting before you trophy them. Although they could be getting Field of the Dead here, so maybe that's wrong. Yay, Green Murky. Hopefully the dam's finally starting to break. Yeah, pathing Azusa is almost never right, unless they're missing land drops. So, like, if they're not attacking with the Elk here, or with the Primeval Titan, I think we just, like, make a food, untap Elk it, is the plan. I called it an Elk because it's gonna be an Elk in a second. Elky and Slip, yep. Hey, I hope you feel better soon, Python. Good to have you here. What's my TLDR on how Brawl Day felt? I will not be playing Brawl on my channel again anytime soon. Is my TLDR on how Brawl felt. Brawl was some of the least fun I've had playing Magic in a long time. I'm glad other people enjoy the format, but it is not for me. Was not very interesting Magic in my opinion. Why do Magic players say things like non-zero amount or say something is medium? Is that just Magic jargon? Yeah, to the most part. Saying something is a non-zero amount, saying non-zero amount is like, it's saying non-zero amount is a technically correct kind of thing too, because you can like, it's a way to acknowledge that something's unlikely but still happens. Is basically the TLDR. That's double Field of the Dead. Yikes. What particular did I not like about Brawl? I didn't feel like I was learning meaningful things about the decks in the games that I was playing. I did not board in Supreme Verdict. I did not bring in Verdict. We're transmuting Teleria West. How do we feel about trophying this Field of the Dead here in response? Yeah, not even the fact that we conceded half of our Brawl matches to Oko aside, because Oko was half of our Brawl matches, like that aside, we're getting Veil of Summered. No, they're just floating mana. Okay. I didn't feel like there were takeaways and lessons learned. I didn't feel like I could iterate on what I was doing. We queued for standard Oko versus Field of the Dead. Have a good one, Sal. how I feel about Commander. I've never really played Commander, so paper Commander is too expensive for me to play as a casual game. Like, if I'm playing board games with friends, like, the cost of a Commander deck buys several board games. So, like, when I game casually with friends, we just play board games. Yeah, not only is the format kind of small to have meaningful choices when building decks to modes, but past that, the format also, like, by its singleton nature, it's hard to really get a feel for, like, what's working and what's not, because your deck is inconsistent, right? Like, what you're doing every game is different. They have a second Field of the Dead. Yeah, I don't know how we ever beat that. Playing semi-fair decks in this format is meh. No, they had a second actual Field of the Dead. They searched up after I trophied one, they went and searched a second. What board games do I play right now? These are a few of my favorites here. Does Twitter post still work? Yeah, sweet. Yeah, in my experience playing this deck in Modern so far, decks where Lightning Helix aren't premium interaction tend to be bad matchups, and that still feels like the case playing it again today. If you ever played the Moby Dick card game, can't say that's one I've sampled. I think I'm going to throw back Trophy plus Goose here. Or sorry, Trophy plus Forest. Probably play Goose on one. Yeah, Field of the Dead beat my Oko deck. Weird. I'm supposed to throw back Bring to Light, keep my piece of interaction. Yeah, I'm going to keep the piece of interaction. I've heard about both Scythe and Terraforming Mars, but I've never played either of them. And like, that picture of board games on my Twitter, that's like a third of the board games that exist in my house, or less than a third of the board games that exist in my house. So like, making room for more when we already have a bunch that we haven't played is tough. Playing board games and collecting board games are two different hobbies. It's 32 here in Dallas. After I left for work, my wife went out to start the car to warm it up, and our 2.5-year-old locked her out of the house. Yep, I've definitely experienced that before. Definitely. Declan usually cackles when he locks you out of the house. He thinks he's hilarious. He obviously is, yep. He thinks he's funny, which is the important part. My wife is 8 months pregnant. Listen, we're just preparing you for the things you need to know. So, like, just don't leave your house while your child's inside, knowing that they can reach the doorknob. Just bring a key with you. Don't step outside without a key. Super, super simple. So I got into Vintage at MTGO. Not only did I feel like it was a complete waste of money, but I found out that going first highly correlated to winning the match. I see why you say an important part of Magic is winning the die roll. I was blinded by the $8 Black Lotus. Lotus are definitely cheaper online than on paper. I mean, you don't beat a 2-year-old senseless for locking you out of the house. They don't really understand what they're doing. Like, my 4-year-old kind of understands what he's doing, but like, you can't logic and reason with a 2-year-old. That's just not how kids work. Yeah, thank goodness we progressed as a society past those days, huh? For the most part. Well, we've got a lot of mana, chat. You weren't giving hot political takes when I was too. I was not. Worked the lock on the front door for the first time and started walking around the block alone. Yeah. Yeah, especially if you live in a place that gets winters, you're going to want to make sure you have a way to secure your outside doors that your 2- and 3-year-olds can't open. Like, real parenting pro tip. Ensure that, like, when your 3-year-old wakes up in the middle of the night, they can't open the front door themselves. If they could literally die in inclement weather outside. As an actually not to terrify parents, but that's something that should be on your mind that you should make sure can't happen. I'm pretty sure parents are... The best way I can describe a toddler to you is toddlers are basically tiny suicide machines. Their goal in life is to explore everything dangerous, and your job as a parent is to make sure they fail in their goal to end themselves. You just gotta keep them alive, chat. Once they get past the toddler stage at like 4 to 5, it becomes a lot easier. So I can instant speed this Bring to Light, which gives me an end step Niv, right? When I was about 6, my younger brother, 4 years old, managed to climb onto a chair to unlatch the deadbolt chain on the door and wandered on the block. Padlock your kids in their room. I don't know about that one, but something. Someone asked about Glittering Wish in this. I think Glittering Wish is pretty slow and clunky. I think it's not something I'm super interested in. This format is pretty fast and brutal, and playing something that slow and clunky seems not ideal. First kit is hard because it's new. Second kit is hard because you thought you knew but were wrong. Third kit is easy because the oldest can help you translate. It's a good advice. So opponent's playing Green Devotion, which is actually a deck that's been putting up a bunch of 5-0 results and had some finishes in the challenge last week in Pioneer. Deck's a little bit slow and fair for Modern, but I would be surprised if it's not a Pioneer staple. Don't forget child locking car doors. My nephew tried to open the car door at 30 miles an hour. Yep, that's a good suggestion too. Alright, well my opponent has approximately infinite mana now. So Nykthos Shrine to Nyx here makes mana for every green symbol in their casting costs. So Todd yesterday suggests Nykthos might be among the first bans in Pioneer. Maybe. Was there a thought to trophying in response to Garruk? No, I don't think so. I think I want to just, like, bring to light for Niv here, and then Niv kill Garruk, and then trophy the Nykthos next turn. They also hadn't played a land for the turn, so trophying in response means I still get hosed by this. So, I think I'd rather just use all my mana this turn guaranteed and get my 6/6 into play. What makes Nykthos strong in Pioneer? The things you do in Pioneer are very similar to what this opponent's doing here in Modern. It's just that the total power level that exists in Pioneer is lower than it is in Standard, or than it is in Modern. So, like, what this opponent is doing is more potent in Pioneer compared to this format, where it's a little bit less good. Please attack with your Eternal Witness. They replaced it for one event, and yeah, I saw that, and I'm super pumped. SCG is smart, they get it. Cedric's not new. How is Mythgard response on the sub-survey? I think it was about as I expected it to be, Slow Future. Does Cedric run that stuff? He's not the only person, but he has feedback on it for sure. He's definitely one of the people who gets to make decisions. What Pioneer decks are scheduled today? Mono Black Zombies, Blue Green Eldrazi, and Abzan Rally. As always, they're listed in the stream title. Yeah, the fact that Hydra is, like, Oko immune feels a little bad. We've got 2 trophies here, though, so, like, I'm gonna bounce this Courser. I'm gonna have Niv kill their Garruk here. And I think I'm just, like, trophy your Nykthos, trophy your Voracious Hydra. How much time will pass before Pioneer? We're gonna start Pioneer probably in about an hour and a half to 2 hours from now. We got one more Modern League. This is the last match of this Modern League. I like 2 hours is probably about close. The opponent's Planeswalker there was Garruk Wildspeaker. Ooh. Untap some lands, make some 3/3s and such. We are playing Modern and not Pioneer. Do I want to hold up Trophy here? I don't think that I do. Yeah, the time I set aside when planning out for Magic Online is an hour 45 per deck. Which is another part of the reason why I charge more for these decks, because they take a longer time to complete. They have another Garruk here. I'm going to be potentially a little sad I didn't kill Nykthos, but I think, like, developing my board here is good. Yeah, most of the cards on screen are Pioneer legal. It's like, what, Astrolabe that's not? Garruk Wildspeaker is not. Yeah, I think we probably have enough survey votes that the percentages aren't meaningfully going to change. So I posted in the subs Discord a tentative schedule for what I expect my schedule to look like based on sub survey feedback. So Dreadbore sounds great. Supreme Verdict sounds great. Yeah, Birds of Paradise is not Pioneer legal. That's true. Is it just Teferi time, Raveler? I feel like I want to board pretty minimally here. I feel like our main deck's pretty reasonable here. What do we think of this? Feels pretty good. The overlay with the card images is extremely useful for me because they have me keeping up with Magic. Thanks for the feedback, Twitch user account. Yeah, the feedback on the big card's been good. It's definitely here to stay for the moto portions. It's not quite a Twitch extension, but it'll do in a pinch. You can ego nick those. I think I'd rather just kill their threats. Their deck's not that threat dense. Like, I have 4 trophies if I really want to deal with nick those. Yeah, the Lavinia's hate text doesn't really apply here because they're casting mostly creature cards. It's new as of Tuesday, was the first day we used it. So rearranged some things and got that added. Benzark, thanks for the 16 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Hope you're having an excellent Thursday wherever you're at. Alright, I have to share this pumpkin. This was just posted in the subs Discord. Is that great? I feel like it's great. Quite excellent. Spooky. Ooh. Did I miss today's Oko wrap? We actually haven't had an Oko wrap yet today. Seems like a misplay. Oh, that's so super awkward. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this card. I think playing 3 of these is probably wrong, especially with 8 birds. I feel like I'd rather just have more fetch lands. Like, I was kind of low on that card before we had 8 birds. And with 8 birds, I feel like it's a pretty big miss. What are your thoughts on green-red Ponza? I think it's awful, and I think it's always been awful. I think it's too slow and fair. There's no Jeff face. I'm here. You can see me. I'm just little, I swear. I'm little, but I matter. You just gotta slide to the left. Do. I'm just gingerbread man size now. Yep. For someone like me who stopped playing during 8th edition and picked up again in Arena, Modern is way more comprehensible with the overlay. Excellent. Are we dead? I think we're dead. Red source? Well, you know. It's better than missing a land drop, I guess. Honey, I shrunk the Jeff. Yeah, Burgle. Like, the pillar should probably be fetches and more snowlands, I think. Like, one more snow basic and 2 fetches, I think is probably the correct mix. So, unfortunately, Walker, it just, like, it adds, like, 5 to 10 minutes to, like, get more cards. It just, like, disrupts my whole setup. So, that's part of the reason why I don't take cut the lines for Magic Online in general. What's going on with the set symbol on the Horizon Canopy? Magic Online. Peak Magic Online is what's going on there. I don't have enough experience with those variations of Tron that are playing Karn the Great Creator to like really know what's supposed to get cut. Like I said, all my experience playing Green Tron is without that card, so I don't think it's very good. Yeah, keep the cards in between weeks. So I have a deal set up with my sponsor, MTGO Traders, where they lend me cards. So like in between the Tron League and the first Pioneer League, I'm going to place an order with MTGO Traders, get cards for those 2 decks, and send back the cards I have for the existing 2 decks. Because like own all the Magic Online cards to like play all of the decks that I play, I kid you not, cost into the 5 figures. Man, the lands in this deck have not been kind to us today. You can chat, welcome to Hooglandia. Guess we're going to 5. Do you think there should be more lands in this deck? Maybe. There's 20, 22. How many did I play last? I feel like 22's gotta be okay. How many are on the list on my website? List on my website is 23. I don't know. I feel like we probably just got a little bit unlucky there. I think I would definitely cut the pillars. I don't know that I would meaningfully add lands to the deck though. I feel like if these pillars were just like 2 green fetch lands and another snow-covered forest, I probably would have had more keepable hands. I think I mulliganed somewhere between 1 and 3 hands in that set because pillars didn't cast spells that I had. If they would have been fetch lands, they would have done that. So like, probably a Verdant, a Wooded Foothills, and a snow-covered forest. You could also play 4 Once Upon a Time. The only creature this deck is getting is Niv-Mizzet with it though, so I don't know if that's really good enough. Maybe it is. Fitting that card in makes everything else harder though. You get dorks with it. Yeah, but like what am I cutting? I feel like if I was cutting something, it would have to be like Wrenn and Six. That could be a reasonable answer too though. You cut like Dreadbore, Wrenn and Six, and like 2 lands for 4 Once Upon a Time. I don't know. Overall, I think this is a good example of an archetype that's probably better suited for Pioneer, where there's a slightly lower power level in the format as a whole than something like Modern, where the format tends to be fast and brutal. We got, outside of the matches where we mulliganed out of, we got brutalized by Amulet Titan and we got brutalized by Dredge. And like we had, in our Dredge matchup, we were on the draw, had turn to Ashiok, and it just wasn't good enough because that's just how fast and brutal the graveyard decks are in this format. So, I don't know. I think this deck's like kind of cute and it's okay, but ultimately this is the style of deck that I think people desperately want to be good at Modern that just frequently isn't. All right, we're gonna be the bad guy up next. We're gonna play some Tron here, and notably, I've been given dollary dues to explicitly play Tron with 4 copies of Karn the Great Creator in it, which is not a card I've been a fan of in the past, so I'm interested to see how that feels. I'm gonna go ahead and run a quick ad break before we dive on into this one. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.